You're listening to The Good Pod Guide, where I, journalist and podcast fangirl Lauren Windle, bring you the lowdown on the pods you should be listening to. I actually find the origins of languages really interesting, particularly when someone has invented their own language, like on Game of Thrones. And I always wonder, how far did he go with it? Did he just write the words he needed for Game of Thrones? Or is there literally a whole language where anything can be communicated out there? And did he learn it himself? And does he speak to anyone in it by himself? When everyone was kids and they had those, secret languages at school where they changed vowels around or added in syllables in the middle of words and stuff. I just never really got that. I always felt a little bit on the outside of the secret because I couldn't speak the secret languages. So maybe that's why I find this so interesting. And that is why I wanted to talk about this podcast, the history of English. So the history of English talks us through historical events that shape modern language, as well as the history of English words and grammar. And one episode carries on from another, moving chronologically through time as language progresses. There are some really interesting things to learn, like how pronunciation shifts occurred and how P became F. So things like pater became father, and how we can trace those developments of languages through those consistent changes. Here's something I learned as well, which I thought was quite cool, is that in the 1400s, rising literacy rates and access to cheap paper meant that people could write letters in the English language for the first time. And one of the earliest letter collections was maintained by the Paston family in Norfolk. And that reflected the struggles of an upstart family against traditional landed nobility. And it provided an important perspective on a family dispute that became known as, you ready for it? The War of the Roses. Everyone remembers that from school. So I thought that was quite cool. It's presented by Kevin Stroud, who is an American lawyer, and that's it. It's just him. There are occasional bonus episodes where he interviews other language episodes. It's presented by Kevin Stroud, who is an American lawyer, and that's it. It's just him. There are occasional bonus episodes where he interviews other language experts, but on the whole, it's one man and his mic, much like me here with you. There are 150 odd episodes, and they range in duration from 30 minutes when they started recording to an hour or so. So it's the CSPP in action again. Do you think I can say my invented acronym of CSPP without explaining it yet? Are we there yet on episode 25? No, probably not. Okay, I'll explain it. How arrogant of me. CSPP is the classic successful podcast pattern where podcasts start off reasonably short, and when they realize that people are listening, they elongate them. And it's something that is not my favorite to see, but happens all the time. Back to this podcast. If you have ever wondered why chef and chief are pronounced differently, or you want to know how we arrived at furlongs and fathoms as units of measurement, or you're confused by English spelling, or you want to know why we've got the Roman alphabet, then this podcast is for you. I'm not going to lie though, it's a little dry. I think because there's only one presenter reading his script. It's a bit like going back to school, and not like the cool school where you're like, oh, it'd be so great to go back to school and learn French or learn some history. It's more like the school where you sit at the back of the class, kind of bored watching the clock. That's so mean. He actually sounds like a really great guy. I hope he doesn't listen to this. I think for me, I just like a little bit more showmanship with my education. In the next episode, I reveal a mind-blowing fact about the world's largest penis as I review podcast No Such Thing as Fish. More info is available in the show notes. And if you've enjoyed what you've heard, like, subscribe, and leave a positive review. We really appreciate it.